the legislation governing pharmacy practice is accessible on the PSI website, and it can be broken down into 5 manageable key areas: the Pharmacy Act and associated regulations, the Code of Conduct, statutory rules, and any professional guidelines as are in force. The Pharmacy Act 2007 is the parent legislation governing the practice of pharmacy. The Retail Pharmacy Business Regulations are made under Section 18 of the Act. One of the most important duties of any superintendent pharmacist is to take the time to review and understand each of the requirements outlined in these regulations. As they go through these, they should reflect on whether or not all the defined requirements and criteria set out in this document are being met by their pharmacy and organisation, and if not, they must address the issues until they are confident that their business is in full compliance. If the superintendent pharmacist is not the pharmacy owner, it's very important for them to involve the owner during this review process, because these regulations also outline the associated responsibilities that must be discharged by the owner. For pharmacists to understand how the legislation impacts operationally on the day-to-day running of their pharmacy and to assist compliance with these regulations, detailed guidelines are issued by the PSI. These guidelines will routinely have undergone a period of drafting and a process of public consultation prior to publication. All superintendent pharmacists and pharmacy owners undertake to comply in full with all of these guidelines. All guidelines, for example those regarding the safe supply of non-prescription medicinal products containing codeine, are published on the PSI website, while hard copies are also sent to every pharmacy in the country. Another example of these guidelines, issued to facilitate compliance, relates to the legal requirement under Regulation 4 Part 3 of the Section 18 regulations that all retail pharmacy businesses provide a patient consultation area. This is a significant development for the practice of pharmacy in Ireland, meaning that all patients now have access to advice and services from their pharmacist in a private, designated and professional facility. In addition to these guidelines, tools are provided to facilitate superintendent pharmacists in the discharge of their responsibilities and in maintaining compliance with legislation. For example, Regulation 5 Part 1C of the regulations requires that a record of registered pharmacists on duty must be maintained in an ongoing, contemporaneous and retrievable form. Therefore, the PSI provides a duty register for this purpose, to help pharmacists maintain an accurate and standardised record of cover. Ultimately, the superintendent pharmacist is responsible for making sure this record is maintained. The PSI also provides professional guidance to promote best practice, particularly in relation to professional standards and patient safety. Such guidance includes PSI practice notices. These published notices are accessible on the PSI website. When a practice notice is published, each superintendent pharmacist should reflect on how to apply and implement the recommendations within their particular retail pharmacy business. Another tool to help superintendent pharmacists improve and maintain standards in their practice and on their premises is the Pharmacy Practice Guidance Manual, or PPGM, which is used for carrying out an audit of a retail pharmacy business and the services provided there. Security is another important responsibility of the superintendent pharmacist. They must ensure that access to all medicines and confidential information stored within the retail pharmacy business is strictly controlled to protect the health, safety and well-being of patients and the public. To help the superintendent pharmacist assess the standards of security within their pharmacy, a security assessment template has been developed jointly by the PSI and An Garda Síochána, which is accessible to download from the PSI website. Evidence of such a security audit and risk management may be requested during routine inspections by PSI. Guidance on preparing for inspections is also provided. The PSI has issued a short guide on what to expect during an inspection, as well as useful checklists both for new openings and for routine pharmacy inspections, which are all available on the PSI website for pharmacists and pharmacy owners to download and use as an audit tool.